Hi guys, Josh Finn here with J&H Aerospace. Today we're doing the 2023 edition of what we'll call the continued Right Stuff review. Although it's not Right Stuff this year, it's Flight. If I sound congested, forgive me. We are just back in from Austin, Texas with the Invitational at UT Austin, and somebody shared their germs with me. So, I think lack of sleep may have contributed a little. But anyway, we're going to start with probably what has historically been my favorite series of kits, the ones from lasercutplanes.com. So without further ado, let's get started on that. This year's Laser Cut Planes kits come basically in a box like this. And so there's a little few pillow packet things. Nice note from my buddy John McGrath, and separately packaged from the kit is the propeller. So, I love this. Thanks, Josh. Enjoy the strange motor stick. John, awesome. Love it. So, if you can't tell from the photos, the motor stick is weird. And I understand, my wife looked at it and was like, what in the world is he thinking? And I looked at it and said, it looks weird, but I can see where he's going. So, we'll pop this open, we'll look at what's in there, and continue. Innovation and unique features are a hallmark, in my opinion, of Laser Cut Planes kits. They are simple, they're all wood, no carbon or anything consistently, except some of their outdoor stuff. But the way in which parts are designed always inspires me to up my game. So you've got your rubber and your plywood parts in this baggie. Uses 3/32 rubber, just like our kits. This is the tail boom. We've got a set of, I think, tail spars and ribs there. So there's actually a few more parts sheets in this kit than usual. So there it all is right there. Now, doesn't look like a lot, but bear in mind this builds one airplane, so all your parts here have to work together to build one airplane. But fuselage, stab, wing, and all the various funny little fittings, and the plywood parts. Very easy build. Okay, so things to pay attention to. This is the partially assembled fuselage. Getting the alignment of this lap joint of the motor stick versus the tail boom is critical. You can see there's a very slight up angle there. You would want to test fit this several times and verify that that's going to go in there right. There is an order of assembly to this top deck that's very critical, so you assemble these two uprights. And I should mention, I am using the medium Insecure from Bob Smith with the nice little no clog lids. Highly recommend this. It is superior to the old Gorilla Glue that we were using. In my opinion, just a lot easier to use. So, worth checking out. Now, this crossbar that goes right here, this is very fragile, so you've got to handle that with extreme care, because it's very light wood, very fragile. This is like the same size as the spars for our A6, which uses super light wood, and that's super light wood. The big triangle goes at the front, because the front wing post thing is taller. Just like that. There you go. Fuselage is assembled. Except for one thing we're missing, which of course is the rear hook. The rear hook can be glued on either side of the fuselage, basically where this taper begins. So, spot of glue, glue it on, And there you go. My kit actually includes a spare rear hook, so if you break one, you've got another. So, worth considering. I don't know if that was intentional, but there it is. Okay, so I've completed a stab panel and the fin. Very neat how these all interlock. And I've completed one wing panel. Now, there's a gotcha, and I have not read the instructions in enough detail to verify for certain what the deal is, but if you look at your wing spars, you'll notice some of them are a wee bit longer than the others. So I've set this up. This is the right wing, so these are for the left wing, because I want my left wing to be longer. Again, I didn't see that mentioned in the instructions, but it's definitely something you need to pay close attention to. There's no labeling, so watch out. Now, I'm going to show building a wing panel on camera because I think that's important for you to see. You have to build these upside down. The ribs have little notches right there to show you where the front of the front of them is. I am having to pinch these a little to get them to fit into their slots. One little trick is that the center rib locations are intentionally misaligned to get that rib to tilt. Now, what you do is you assemble all of one side of the wing, of one wing spar, and then you do the other. I keep having trouble. This wood ended up just a little bit too thick, and so I keep, even with me pinching these, they're being a little ornery. Now, the reason you do this, if you notice the ribs are tilted up like this, these wing spars are fairly wide, and so if they're not aligned with the ribs, they produce a decent amount of drag. It does make for an interesting way to assemble the parts, but it works out rather well. I may have forgotten. Nope, got that one right. Good. There we go. So if you notice, I don't know how visible it is, this rib is tilted in. And that's because its slot is skewed slightly. It's trying to split the spar open on me. I'm not doing so great at this one tonight. It's not the kit's fault, it's just I'm being super clumsy. Alright, so there we are. You can see how those ribs are curved a little bit. I don't know how well that shows up on camera, but that accounts for your dihedral angle. The joins here, or the ends of everything have to be trimmed because there's excess provided so that you can have a slot for everything to lock into. But then after assembly, of course, you have to remove that. Some people prefer that method. Others, I find it doesn't work out so well for them. So, you know, it's one of those things. It works for some people, it doesn't work for others. And so there we go. So structural assembly is almost complete, and now it's time to cover the airplane. Okay, so I've applied adhesive to everything, your typical 3M Super 77, and this airplane is supplied with tissue paper. So I'm going to show you covering one part, and then you can go from there. So Siley still has the dumb little black panel rule, and that requires you to still do this piece of ridiculousness. And so you can see you start on one area and you just kind of rotate the wing down to get a good covering this job this way. And then take a fresh razor blade and trim off the excess. Now, personally, I would prefer veggie bags, and my main reason is they don't warp if the airplane's exposed to humidity. Where laser cut planes is based, humidity is never, ever an issue. But here in Georgia, it's always wet. And that means the tissue-covered airplanes tend to warp pretty badly over time. Now, since you've sprayed this area, that you've now covered this rib, you need to come back with something like glue stick over that rib to provide adhesive in that area. And ideally you would cover the light colored tissue first and then put on the black, because you can see there's some bleed through here, which doesn't look great, but I was not thinking when I did that. And I'm going to blame it on fatigue and congestion, because that is an available excuse, and I like the idea of making use of all of my excuses. Because normally I just have to admit that I was an idiot. But since I have an excuse, I don't have to. So, there's one panel covered. I'm not, excuse me, I'm not going to show the rest on video. Alright, so we've got the airplane covered, looks all fine and well, and so now we take the wing mounts and install them. A little bit of gap that forms up at the middle, even if you slide the panels together on the mounts, and that's okay. It'll still fly fine. I covered the fin on the right side. I'll glue it on the side. I think you could glue it to the bottom. Actually, we'll check on it. The instructions do agree, glue it on the side. It's kind of a small fin, so I'm a little concerned about that, but it should be okay. I've never had a laser cut kit that, laser cut planes kit that didn't behave pretty well. Not really observing the rules of stab tilt. I'll take care of them in a minute. Now the wing slots on as a friction fit, and you have to be a little careful about this because over time the wood up here will start to get squished a little, and so the wing won't stay on as well. So you got to watch that. There is some fore and aft range, so you can slide the wing around a little bit to adjust to fine tune your CG, but bear in mind you don't have a whole lot of adjustment range there. This is the IFAS propeller that's included in the kit. As most of y'all know, we've had some issues with these propellers, but we use them because they're readily available as opposed to the Icaras. This one appears to have been vetted for relative straightness. The blades look to be about... Nope, no they don't. So if you look, I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but the angle here at the tip relative to that prop shaft is about 15 degrees. Over here on this one, it's a fair bit less. So that probably is going to result in some vibration. There is an instruction to straighten the prop shaft. I typically don't straighten the ones on mine, for what that's worth. Now I sometimes bend them up here at the front, but that's to kind of reposition the prop, but that's a separate issue. Anyway, we're going to squirt some glue on this guy, and we're going to stick it straight into its little slot, and there it is. Finished box Concerto by lasercutplanes.com. Looks pretty cool. I think this will fly all right. Alright, so we have our scale up and running. I'm going to put a box on top of this that weighs 2 grams. That's irrelevant. Tear it so it's set to 0. And see if I can get this plane to sit level, out of contact with anything. Then it weighs 7.6 grams. Okay, that's kind of impressive. It does bring up a deficiency in this kit that there is no ballast included, so we're going to have to throw some ballast in. I'm going to put the ballast on the tail, because I gave this plane a test glide before I did this part, and that's because I'm impatient and can't wait, and it's nose heavy. So the CG is showing up right about here. I think that's way too far forward for one of these. I'm going to slide the wing forward a smidge. Like that. Shift the CG back a little bit. And then let's find some clay for it. Come on. Needs a little more. There we go, 8.03. I think that's close enough. Perfect. And then the other thing is, I actually do need a tiny bit of clay on the propeller because it's not balancing right. Yeah, okay. There we go. All set. Done. All right, so we have the airplane loaded up and ready to go. So I'm going to give it a test glide here, and we're going to see how it goes. Well, that does not look half bad at all. It's about right on balance. It is kind of just sinking because the propeller has a lot of drag and freewheel. So there we go. All right, so we've got about 150 turns wound in. So let's see how the plane flies. Well, it's stalling a little bit, so we're going to have to make a couple of adjustments. All right, so first of all, move the clay up forward. So hopefully that'll take care of that issue. The other thing is I made a build error. If you can see, the right side of the stab is high, and it should be the opposite. So we're just going to bend it like that. We'll also give ourselves a little bit of left rudder, because I want this thing to actually fly well in my living room. And look at that. I think I can actually shift that weight back a little bit. I shifted the weight back to the rear wing mount. So let's see what it does now. My turn's going away. Ornery. Let's try again. I added in a little bit more left rudder, and so we'll see if that works. Oh, and I shaved away some of the front of the fuselage here, because if you heard that kind of brushing sound, that was the propeller brushing against that. And it's like it's not making as much power. That's weird. And there we are, circling in the living room. All right, guys, so the box Concerto by lasercutplanes.com. I should mention this is the Division B kit. As of this recording, they have not released a Division C airplane yet, but I have no doubt it'll fly well too. I did fly this airplane outdoors twice. It's nighttime here, so I couldn't record it because it's obviously you wouldn't be able to see the plane. But I had a flashlight, so I was able to keep eyes on the airplane. First flight was a check flight. Since it's tissue covered, the tail immediately went slack and the wing, and that shifted the CG aft, so it stalled a little bit. Still did a minute 25. Next flight, I moved the ballast forward and wound it up a little more. Got up about 40 feet, just held there for almost the entire flight, and that gave me 2:38, which is a very, very good flight time for one of these airplanes. Especially a tissue-covered all-wood airplane. So overall, I'm very pleased with this airplane. It builds below minimum weight. It Everything interlocks as usual. There's some innovative features like the integrally braced motor stick and so on. So you get a really, excuse me, really cool, nice flying airplane. So I highly recommend you try it out. My honestly, my one beef with the airplane is the tissue covering, because I don't know if you can tell the yeah, here we go. You can see just a little bit, the stab is already bending up a little bit. Just that little bit of humidity exposure has already caused the tissue to start shrinking, and so that can cause warps and make your airplane marginally flyable. So if you buy the kit, get you some veggie bags. I think everybody that has the means should buy one of these and try it out. I think you'll have fun. Laser cut kits, laser cut planes kits are very enjoyable, and I always like building them, learning from them, and having a good flying experience. I think this is one of the best that they've ever produced, and so you should check it out. All right, so that concludes our review of this airplane. We'll include some flight footage after this, and you can enjoy that, some outdoor flying footage. And so with that, I give the Box Concerto a thumbs way up, and I think you should try it. And we'll see you on the next 2023 Right Stuff flight review. Hi, I'm Josh Finn. This is Hope. We are J&H Aerospace.
If you like this video, hit the like button.
Also, how about subscribe to our channel and check out jhaerospace.com for new free flight products and all of the tooling that you'll need to build them.
Thanks for watching.